So I loved Tinkle and Amarshitra Kathas growing up. Those were the most accessible for us, especially as little children. Whenever we went back to India, that was what we would always get at the bookstores. But the first book written by an Indian author that I loved so much was R.K. Narayan, Malgudi Days, Swami and Friends, because wow, South Indian characters set in, Tamil Nadu, which is like where I'm from. We speak Tamil at home. And Swami and Friends were like, they were so Indian. There was absolutely no filter in terms of how the writing was done. It felt really true to my relatives and my family and how they spoke. Like even the way R.K. Narayan created the diction of, I could hear Swami's voice when I was reading the text. And I loved following those stories. I laughed hysterically at the way that he told the stories. He has a real comic timing. And I saved the books so that I could share them with my daughters when they became old enough to like enjoy the stories. And we still have, they're now 24 and 26, and they still remember the day we read a passage about Swami and mangoes and him bargaining with the mango seller and his utter frustration and sort of like disgust at the price that he was being made to pay for these mangoes. And like all of us, the three of us were just rolling. We couldn't stop laughing. It is one of the most sublime moments in our lives. The girls remember it very clearly. And we're almost afraid to go back to the text because it to spoil the magic, because it was just so amazing. So I am in awe of him. And I'm so thankful that he came into my life, because I was like, wow, this is very cool that an Indian writer wrote this. Two picture books that are coming out that I'm very excited about because they're both nonfiction. And when I first started writing picture books, I had planned to only write nonfiction stories because I wanted to highlight stories that had not been told, stories, from our background that had not been told. And as it turned out, my first books that were published have all been fiction. So these two particular ones are near and dear to my heart. Desert Queen comes out later this year, I hope. And it's about drag performer Queen Harish, who I actually met in Rajasthan at one of their performances. And I was just blown away by how Queen Harish sort of enthralled their audience and kept us in sort of like their hands. And I decided I needed to write about Harish's life. And so, that's a picture book about Harish Kumar and how he became Queen Harish and performed as a drag performer. And then the second book that just got sold is called This Land. It's also nonfiction, and it's about Sikh immigrants that moved from India to America in the late 1800s. And I came across this story when I was actually researching a completely different story. And then I sort of went into this rabbit hole of research because I had no idea that Indians even came to America that long ago. Like I had no idea. No one, I did not read about this in any sort of history. And so the more I researched and the more I learned about their story, I felt really compelled to tell it because it felt like every immigrant story that had ever happened in America. And in fact, it was very poignant because it felt like it could be a story of today. And so in some ways, it was like it was really hard to hear how little things had changed in American history and in terms of how we welcome and I guess I don't want to use the word assimilate, but how immigrants find themselves becoming part of this country. So that story comes out 2025, and they're both, of course, about the Indian diaspora. Yeah, I think it's really important for readers to find what they like, right? Everyone has their own idea of what makes a good story, right? Readers take in what they need, and no one can tell you what makes it good. So I think the important thing for parents or for any reader to really understand is just try, like, do a taste test of lots and lots of different kinds of books and genre, because if one kind of book doesn't appeal to you, put it aside and try to find something else, another format, another genre. So do a lot of taste tests and, pick something that works for you. Don't rely on other people to tell you what's good. I mean, maybe it is good and you should try it out, but if it doesn't appeal to you, that's okay. Try something else and keep trying, because there's so many different varieties of writing out there, especially now. There's so many different formats in which stories are told. So, just, it's like a buffet. Find the genre that really floats your boat and, go with that genre. And then also try lots of new authors. I mean, you can have a favorite author, and sometimes it's hard to move away to someone new that you've never tried before, but you might be pleasantly surprised.